Welcome, everyone, to our Power Thinking, rejuvenating your amazing mind training for Wednesday. It is the 1st of July, 2026, and this is our 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time edition. I'm your moderator, Stanley Green, and I'm joined by special co-host, brand new Power Thinking Corp mobile app user, Will Marie Bosberg, who has some interesting background, and she'll share it with you, but just give you partial. As we focus on helping you build the skills of resilience, she's actually been through this training with the Army. And so she'll talk a little bit about that. And the graphic that we have on the screen is from the Army's Master Resilience Training Program, which is part of what they called Comprehensive Soldier Fitness. So when you think about soldier fitness, it is typically all the physical, right? And all of the drills and, the physical strength building and endurance building that goes into it when you think about boot camp. But back in 2001, the University of Pennsylvania and Martin Seligman and that team that developed this material approached the Army about, helping with the mental aspect of it as well. And unfortunately, so many people miss the mental, but it does come back, later with folks as they experience, some of the mental challenges associated with the experiences that they may have had in combat and so forth and so on. So, of course, our job is to help you retrain your brain so that while you may not, be in the armed forces and have to go through, the experiences that are men and women in the armed forces and services have to go through and endure and get past. There's still things that we experience in our lives that we need these essential, strengths and skills to bounce back from. So today we're focused on power thinking resilience skill number 3. Remember, there are 7 skills of resilience. There's learning the ABCs, there's avoiding thinking traps, there's challenging beliefs, there's putting it in perspective, there's calming and focusing, and then, of course, there's real-time resilience. But our focus today is on number 3, which is detecting icebergs. What are these deep-rooted, long-held beliefs that some of which have served us well, but there's some that are actually holding us back. And so the question is, how do we go about detecting those beliefs, being more aware that we do have beliefs that are holding us back? So we do have a video. There's the video that we've shared in the past that came out of the collaboration between the University of Pennsylvania, Positive Psychology Center, and the U.S. Army. And I remember when it was done back in 2010, when the deal was done, and Penn sent its researchers and professors into the Army, and they had train-the-trainer sessions, and they trained many folks there to carry out this particular training. So it's as I've done my connection calls on LinkedIn, 2 minutes each over the past number of months. There are not many people that I run into that understand this, that have been part of that Army training, which is the first time it's ever been done in the armed services. I've referenced it a few times with you, but I actually have someone here who's a new Power Thinking Corp member who actually experienced this and is doing phenomenal things. So I want to welcome our co-host for this morning, Will Marie Bosberg. Will Marie, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning to you. So, and what we're going to do is we're going to go into our Q&A so folks can hit the *6. I'd love to get your comments about the video. And if you have any questions for Will Marie, feel free to ask because many of you have been exposed to this for many years, but you may have a question about, how did that come across in the Army and how has it been used? So Will Marie, tell us a little bit about you and what you do today, what you've done for the military and in the military. And I want to thank you for, on behalf of all our members, thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, I'm originally born and raised in Puerto Rico, and I joined the Army back in 2010. Stayed in Puerto Rico for a couple of years. Four of my 12-year trajectory was in Puerto Rico, and decided to go the officer route. So I was welcome with open arms at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, which is the center of the universe. So whoever's airborne, they know exactly what I'm talking about. And had the blessing to stay there for eight years. Had a deployment to Afghanistan with an infantry battalion from the First Brigade Combat Team, and had really a lot of opportunities to grow as a leader with World War II veterans, their history, and the history of our regiment. Had the opportunity to, in a way, see the world and battlegrounds with these World War II veterans. And so 2021, my life changed. I had two precious girls. They are five now, so identical twins. And I decided to change gears and do something different. You know, my husband was also in the military. He retired after 21 years, and I just couldn't see myself deploying again with babies in the house. So decided to put the uniform aside. Didn't mean that I was gonna put my service aside. Continue serving to this day. Continue working with World War II veterans and traveling to their battlegrounds, Netherlands, Berlin, etc. And also have the opportunity and blessing to be the president of the Airborne Scholarship Association, where we give scholarships to children of wounded warriors and killing action soldiers of the airborne community, specifically the 18 Airborne Corps. And this year I was blessed to have some kids from the 82nd Airborne Division as well. And so very, very into that. It's one of my biggest passions, and recently had the opportunity to come in as the first female for the advisory committee of Veterans Affairs for the Puerto Rico Senate. And I am basically the voice for all women Puerto Rican veterans and Hispanic veterans. And so we are trying to create a big platform where we can have women come in and they can have a voice and they can share their stories. And like me, they can actually express what the army did to them and how that molded their life and their journey, and what season of life they are now, if it's leadership, professional, if it's being motherhood. um every season and every journey, you need to apply, and you will
Mhm.
always apply your military background to it, regardless of what that is.
No, it's great. It's great. So, tell us about. I remember when we talked about resilience. The first thing you mentioned was iceberg beliefs. Why was that something that stuck with you from that training? And maybe you can talk a little bit about that experience with the resilience training.
Yeah, well, I tell you, for me, it was very different coming in as a women Latino soldier, specifically to a combat arms unit, where it's men. Most of the ranks is only men, and they already have a culture established. So when you come in, from different roots, different cultures, different beliefs, and you come into a completely new world. The United States has different cultures, have different people. We are very warm in Puerto Rico. Over here, you need to be careful who you hug and who you give a kiss to. So I had to, in a way, adapt to all that. And I think this detecting icebergs was literally one of the things that had stuck with me. I mean, we talk about it as soon as you and I started talking, we talk about icebergs. And I told you, I remember like today sitting in that classroom and taking this class. And I think that's one of the things that shook me was like, sometimes we have to be able to adapt to other beliefs and other people before we even put our thoughts on what we assume we think is going to be the answer. And so yeah, I think it's moved with me throughout my career, my army career. I mean, when I worked with World War II veterans in Netherlands, I had to adapt to the Dutch people beliefs. You know, they are very
Mhm.
different from us as well. So you
Mhm.
need to understand the things that you can say, the things that you cannot say, and how to act. And all of that, I think, transforms into that detection, right? Understanding that it's not about you, that it's about the people around you, and that sometimes you need to just breathe, think about it, and then, don't get to a conclusion too early. Um, and if you want, I can share, my mother story.
Sure.
Now that I'm
Sure.
a mother, for me, detecting icebergs, I was telling you earlier, is, I'm in the car driving with my twins, and I'm having a conversation, and they start, mommy, 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 and my mind is already like, oh my god, you're disrespecting me, like I'm talking. What are you gonna ask me for? Do you want a toy? Do you want food? Like, I don't have time at this moment to pay attention to you. And so our reaction sometimes comes very upsetting and kind of overwhelmed. That
Mhm.
what comes like, what do you want? Like, and we don't even try to think about the tone of it, because we are already so overwhelmed that we just spit it out. And then sometimes the girls just look at me and they go, well, mommy, I love you. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I was already assuming that you wanted something, that I had to stop at McDonald's, that you wanted me to listen to you. And here you are, just wanted to catch my attention because you wanted to remind me how much you love me. So that is for me, that is my perfect iceberg example that I
Mhm.
that I go on with every day, because it happens every day.
Yeah. And you have to, watch that, that impulsive reaction, right?
Correct.
You're a little annoyed, and the impulse was you're going to say, "Hey, don't disturb me here." So, what I'm going to do is take folks through, because our objective, each week, and now with the Power Thinking Corp app, each day is to remind people of these seven inner strengths and the seven skills of resilience. First, our inner strengths, developed by University of Pennsylvania's Positive Psychology Center, the folks that trained the people that trained you, Will Marie. And the first, and you referenced this, is emotion regulation, that ability to stay calm under pressure. So when your daughters were, trying to get your attention, obviously there was an emotional reaction, because you thought something different than what they were, wanting to say. So that ability to control those emotions, the five big negative emotions that we experience, from anger, this belief that somebody violated our rights. I have a right to have peace as I'm driving, and you just violate by yelling, "Mommy, mommy, mommy!" So there's slight annoyance and anger there. And then, of course, there's guilt, the belief that you are violating someone else's rights. There's sadness, where there's a pure loss. It could be loss of a job, loss of a loved one. Um, and there is embarrassment, and that is a loss of standing in a group. Let's say, you have a neighbor, and they're known around the neighborhood as this big time vice president of a major, major company. And that's the way people refer to him. Oh, here's my neighbor, vice president, at Meta. And go, oh, wow, that's impressive. And all, and then they get laid off, by Meta. And now what? They've lost standing, and they feel embarrassed, and so forth. So that's another negative emotion. And then the big one that one out of three people experience all the time, and that's anxiety, that
Mm.
fear of a future threat. Something's going to happen in the future. So our job is to get stronger in our ability to regulate these emotions. And in many cases, as we're practice our skills, we can actually avoid, having some of those emotions. Like some folks will say, well, just embrace it. You're going to have it. There are cases if we change our beliefs about things that we can actually avoid the negative emotion. So there's the emotion regulation. There's a huge inner strength. And then related to that is impulse control, the ability not to say or do the first thing that comes to mind. So in your case, right, what was the first thing that came to mind? Well, I got to say something to them. No, we can't talk right now. And had you taken the pause, right, and you were more calm, maybe you would have kind of thought through the possibilities of what could be going on, and it could be a positive. Many of
Correct.
us just jump to the negative. And I've done this in China and Japan, where I would ask the question through the translator, what would happen? How would you feel? It's a Friday, and your boss, at work, taps you on the shoulder, and it's just before quitting time, and says, "I need to see you first thing on Monday morning." How would your weekend be? What would it be like, Will Marie?
Oh, anxious. I call it the suspense time. I don't like suspense because I'm
Mhm.
just, my mind keeps going. Did I do something wrong? It's the first thing that comes to mind is always about you. What did I do? Did I upset him? Did I did something that, somebody's gonna give me a reprimand? So you never think about the other possibilities around the environment that maybe your boss wants just to sit down and talk to you about, hey, what can we do to get the team work together more cohesively moving forward. But you don't think of those things are not important to you.
Right.
So your weekend is gonna be a bad weekend.
And why should it be? So it's the same all over the world. It's amazing whether it's in Japanese or Mandarin. The reply is, "Oh, it's going to be a bad weekend." We
Oh
go
yeah.
to the negative immediately. So controlling the impulse not to say or do the first thing that comes to mind. There's empathy, the ability to understand another person's experiences and emotions. Self-efficacy, the belief that you have control over your ability to succeed in the world. Related to that is optimism, the view that all things, no matter what's going on and what's wrong, ultimately, we're going to find a solution. There's going to be a successful outcome. There's causal analysis, and certainly that was, relevant here in the video. What was the root cause of the situation or problem? It wasn't about the empty tank in the video. It was deeper than that. So having that strength is important, and of course, reaching out for help. And we saw that in the video where um, folks actually reached out to her. The person in the yoga room. There was one person that she was exercising with, who just put fuel on the fire and said, "Well, that's the way men are. You can't live with them. You can't live without them." And then there was the other lady that said, "Okay, let's drill down and find out what's going on here." So getting that
Yeah.
help and actually helped her to get in a better mood, so that when she got home, that she was going to have a discussion to kind of get down to those core beliefs. So that's our framework. It's a powerful framework of inner strengths developed by University of Pennsylvania's Positive Psychology Center and implemented with the U.S. Army and Will Marie uh, team. And then there's the skill of ABC, the relationship between the adversity, the belief about the adversity, which then drives the C, the consequence or those negative emotions. So if we can control the belief, and you talked about that, Will Marie, what do we believe? Can we change that belief about what just happened, so that we're not getting as upset? And then, of course, there's the thinking traps. You talked about that. You jump to a conclusion when your daughters, said to you, "Hey, mommy, mommy, mommy," and the conclusion was, "Okay, this is something that I really don't have time for." When they were simply, saying, "Hey, I love you." So, avoiding the thinking traps of jumping to conclusions or mind reading. You thought you knew what they were going to say, what they wanted, and you didn't, right? And how little things like that can be a big deal in the workplace, at home.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
minimizing the positive, and magnifying the negatives that go on in our lives. There's tunnel vision, there's overgeneralizing, and we've talked about all those. And then the third of what's called the awareness skills. We want to be more aware of those thinking traps we can fall into, more aware of the deep rooted beliefs, is detecting those iceberg deep rooted beliefs. Then the action skills, challenging the beliefs. And you've probably done that where when you've been to the Netherlands and so forth, you had your own beliefs about how life should go and how we should interact. And they
Oh
have
yeah.
different beliefs, right? And
Oh
so
yeah.
you have to challenge your own beliefs and like, well, it's not universal. I may have to make some adjustments here when I'm dealing with a different country, different culture. There's putting things in perspective, and as our folks know, it's about those in the morning gratitude, right? The gratitude exercises before going to bed, and you probably learned this, writing down those three good things that happened that day
Yeah.
will help put things in perspective. There's calming and focusing, the breathing, taking those deep breaths, and of course real time resilience. So what else would you like to add about in terms of your experiences around this resilience framework?
Well, I would like to add that most of these traits that we talk about at detecting icebergs is not only for everybody else, for how you are gonna perform in front of everybody else. I think this is also for your personal growth, specifically for leaders. Leaders, whatever position you have out there, and like everybody says, you don't need to have a title to be a leader. These traits are very important because um, it gives you self awareness, but it also gives you situational awareness, and it helps you, identify with different types of people. It helps you become adaptable. It helps you build a fantastic network in LinkedIn, right, Stanley?
Mhm. Yeah.
And so I think that you should, even if it's not just because of the iceberg um theme that we're around today, it should be more centric about your personal awareness, your personal growth, and how you move forward with that, not only emotional and physical intelligence, but adaptability and resilience, for any place that you're at.
Fantastic. And folks, I have the graphic on the screen, and you can see it. I'll put it up on the app, the recording on the app. But this is really cool because the U.S. Army put this up, and it's available via Google. That in bold print they have detect icebergs, and it's from the Master Resilience Training Program, and it's one of the Master Resilience training skills, one of the Power Thinking resilience skills. So this is how you get to those icebergs. Use what questions in order to help identify the iceberg. And you saw that in the video where the yoga partner started asking, so what is, and ask these very questions. What is the most important part of that? So if she's saying, hey, you know, the the gas tank was empty. So what is it about the gas tap being empty that was really important? What's the important part of that? Well, and what she really got down to was that, well, she gave examples. Well, he never puts the toilet seat down for me. When I send him to the store to go shopping, he doesn't bring back all the things that we want, and so he just doesn't do the little things for me. And then as we drill down, what is the most upsetting about that? Um, the most upsetting that she said in the video was, he takes me for granted.
Mm-hmm.
And so what it all boiled down to was that now he seems to take that for granted. And then she was asked by her yoga partner, well, have you talked about this? And she said, well, no. So she's jumping to all of the conclusions and running off with these beliefs about that relationship that may have been totally unfounded and ruined her day and many other days potentially. So what happened was that she went back home. They had a discussion, and everything's patched up. So, how many times has that happened in our lives where it could have been avoided? So, we're going to go quickly to one of our callers on the line, Carla Hill. Carla, thank you for joining us. mention where you're joining us from and your thoughts about detecting icebergs. And of course, Carla's been with us, Will Marie, since 2018, and 25-year HR professional with formerly with Philadelphia, the city of Philadelphia, and now has her own firm. So, Carla, thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you. Carl Hill calling from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I just want to welcome you to the Power Thinking family. My questions are, one, how do you ensure that you are implementing the resilient skills on an ongoing basis? We could know about it theoretically, and it's information, I know that, and how was it you or the framework to measure that you are getting better at implementing those resilient skills or detecting icebergs specifically? And third question, what type of ongoing tools do you use to overcome the detecting iceberg? You've identified it, but what do you typically do? What works for you? So those are my questions.
Right. Will Marie.
Wow. Okay. Well, I can tell you that for me is a part of my personal growth. I love to read, but I do love to read a lot of leadership books, a lot of spiritual books, a lot of things that will help you reflect on who you are as a person. I also like to read from other languages or countries so I kind of understand what other people's beliefs come from, because that's sometimes the main issue is that we think that our belief is our belief, period, but we don't understand what other people have gone through, and we don't put ourselves in that position. So I would definitely say personal growth, read books, interact with your network, talk to people that are like-minded, find you a mentor. I had all those things growing in the army really helped me to get where I am today and be the leader that I am. And also, I would say once you start noticing and once you're self aware, like I did with my kids, you start noticing when it happens. And then you can have the time to adapt and kind of tweak a little bit what your response is gonna be. And sometimes you just need to, they say fail, but it's not really failure, it's really an experience. So you need to go through it to understand why you reacted that way and how you can improve it moving on. So I hope that I answered your three questions with one example, but I would say,
Great.
yeah, personal growth is my number one thing every day.
Fantastic.
Personal growth.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. And again, thank you for being part of our Power Thinking family. We really appreciate Will Marie, and we know that you're going to have contributions as we go along with this community. And want to encourage folks, stay tuned at 8 a.m. in another minute or so on LinkedIn and YouTube, Facebook. I'll have a replay of a what I call join the movement session where we kind of talk about some of the basics, why we do what we do with power thinking and why you should join the movement, but also how the power thinking app works. For those of you that may not be on the app, you can check that out, and that's from 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. and that's going to be every morning, every single day on LinkedIn and the other platforms, and also 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Will Marie, how can folks get in touch with you?
They can find me on LinkedIn by Wilmarie Boisbert. They can also send me an email. It's flores@wilmarieboisbert.com, and we can add that to the notes. That way everybody sees it. But yeah, I'm in social media. Please send me a message. Go to Airborne Scholarship Association.org to know more about opportunities for children moving forward and children that need that little push to college. And I will put everything in the chat with Stanley, and hopefully I can get to know more of you a little bit.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to go to our phone lines.
Q&A
And I want to
session.
thank the folks for joining us, for Sharon Smalls and Carla Hill, and a few wireless callers, Joan Preston and Farrell and Dove, Gloria Hairston, Marie Turner, Dr. Ekman, Peg Kowalski, Carolyn Zero, Greg Jones, Janice Tosto, Doug Sidoti, Lindsay Enger. Thank you all. And those I missed, make it a fantastic day, everybody. Remember, since we spend all of our time thinking, think with power. Take care, everybody. We'll see you. Bye-bye. All
Bye.
right. And Will Marie, thank you so much for doing this
Thank
and taking
you.
time out. And thanks for being a Power Thinking member. We certainly spread the word. Take care and
Absolutely.
make it a fantastic day.
Absolutely. You as well. Bye bye.